Hey, I'll take it.
All right.
You guys suck. I can't get a slow clap. Nothing.
Who
How are you
has the
guys?
first question? Go ahead.
John, congratulations, of course, on the win. I know you were, pretty critical of your performance in the cage. A few minutes have passed. Do you feel any differently, or are you
Yeah.
still?
Yeah, I feel a lot differently. Um, I'm my own biggest critic. And out there, I was seeing all types of openings, and I just wasn't pulling the trigger on a good 50, 60% of them. I was just going for the real easy ones, like a side kick. That was like so open and it was out of his punching range. But boxing wise and stuff, something inside of me was like, don't get caught with a big hand. Play it smart, play it smart. And just way too hesitant in there. Um, so yeah. I don't know. I'm grateful for a lot, but I'm still a little disappointed. Just know there's a much higher level inside of me. Um, I'm not one to just fight last minute opponents like that. And I switched up to a big old hard, heavy hitting southpaw, and I was so primed for Daniel Cormier. So so I'm not going to be too disappointed because I believe that I'm going to move and groove um, when I actually face this style that I've been thinking about for 7 months.
After the fight's over, I'm sure you probably saw DC. He was kind of wishing he was in there. Maybe you weren't on your best night. Do you believe it was ring rust, not your best night, or do you believe it was the switch of opponents that made the big difference in what your performance was tonight?
I think it was. I think it was more the switch of opponents. I think it was more of a switch of opponents. Yeah, if you've been following my career, you know how big I am to studying. I'm huge into studying. Me and my team. That's what we do. It's why I'm so confident. It's going into my fights is because I know what I'm getting into. And tonight, Ovince just threw a completely different. It was just a completely different thing than what I had prepared for. So I'm going to say it was more the switch of opponents than ring rust. As far as ring rust, I was attacking and not as much as I had liked, and my cardio was great, no butterflies, no being nervous, walking out, I was loving it, feeling the moment, felt present in the octagon, but just hesitant to attack, and it was ring rust. I'm not ring rust. It was a switch of opponent.
I know they said something about after the fight you were in a wheelchair or something, but you walked up there
Yeah.
and you looked perfectly fine. How are you health-wise? And, everyone's going to ask you the question.
Right.
Do you feel good enough that you could fight at UFC 200?
I feel great enough to fight at UFC 200, for sure. Right away, my shins were swollen. My left shin was swollen. My left foot was swollen. And when my adrenaline came down, I felt some serious pain. So I just got in the wheelchair, made it easier for myself. But once I got a shoe on my foot, everything's a little more compressed now, and I'm walking around pretty close to fine. So I know by Wednesday I'll be totally fine. Back in the gym, getting ready for Daniel Cormier.
And last question. I know it was killing you to not fight DC. I noticed on your way out of the octagon, you gave him you told him he was number one.
Yeah.
So, does it just start up again right now? Do you already kind of have that fuel in your body that you just want to start, getting ready for Daniel Cormier?
Yeah, you know what? I gave Daniel the finger leaving the octagon. It felt great to do. It creates buzz. It gets people ready for the fight. It's like, okay, me and DC don't like each other. He's been in my sights this whole time. We had a minor bump in the road. We had to take a little detour, and now it's back to this beef with DC. So it wasn't. There was not too many emotions involved with me doing it. It was more for fun. It was more to get a reaction from the fans and restart this storyline between me and DC.
I was going to ask you a little bit about that because the other day you were praising him and you were happy for him that he won the title. And when I asked you, why don't you like him, you said, well, because he don't like me.
Right.
But you said a lot of, praiseworthy things about him. So now you got to take that back and sort of start snarling at him again?
Yeah. It's like I said what I said and I meant what I said. But at the end of the day, it's exciting when you fight someone that you don't like and they don't like you. You want to keep that going. And so I just wanted to give him the finger just to keep it going, just to, get under his skin and keep the fans excited.
So, about a year ago, you were stripped of that belt. So
Yeah.
now you're back and you don't want the interim belt, but you might have been stripped of something else tonight. A lot of people are saying Demetrius Johnson is the pound-for-pound best fighter in the world now. And I wonder, I don't know if you looked at his performance, but, if you look at him, and do you feel like he has a case for it, given how many fights in a row he's won and how he looked tonight compared to how you looked tonight?
You know what? Demetrius Johnson, man, he is a tremendous athlete. He's a tremendous athlete. And, I really don't compare myself to other fighters. I don't compare myself financially. I don't care, star power, none of this stuff. I feel like I'm famous enough. And, that's always going to be an argument to debate. I've beat like 8 or 9 former world champions. That's something that no one's ever done in the sport. So like I'm really confident in who I am and what I've accomplished, and I think there's room for many people to be stars. Some people may look up to me and find motivation in me for this reason, and then they'll look up to Demetrius for this reason, and they'll look up to Conor for this reason, and they'll look. We're all stars, and someone else's star declining doesn't make my star climb any higher. There's enough room in the sky for many people to be admired and respected. So, whether people find me as the greatest ever, that's their opinion, and whether people find Demetrius, it's always going to be a debatable topic. But I'll tell you this, I'll make it really clear, I don't mind sharing that debate with a guy like Demetrius Johnson. He's unbelievable.
Let's ask you one thing. I looked up the other day, and it's kind of amazing to see, but of the 10 UFC champions, since you do have a title in front of you, you are the 3rd youngest champion.
The 3rd youngest champion?
Youngest. Conor is younger than you are, and Joanna is younger than you by a month. So everybody else is older than you are. And so I wonder, even though like some people think, well, maybe John's hit his peak and everything, you're still a young dude, relatively speaking. Do you feel like you're ascending in terms of your skills, and that can you be better than you were when you beat Shogun or when you beat Rampage, and et cetera, et cetera?
Yeah. I honestly do not feel as if I've hit my peak. I just hired a new jiu-jitsu coach to complement Greg Jackson's Gaito Jitsu, Roberto Tusa from Gracie Baja, unbelievable jiu-jitsu coach. I felt so comfortable on the ground tonight, even though I couldn't get a submission. I just felt really comfortable on the ground. New strength and conditioning coaches. There's a much higher level inside of me, and I'm going to display it in my next fight.
And my last question for you is, so you said you didn't want the belt. Do you want it now, and why did you say what you said in the octagon? Just out of curiosity, was it sort of in the heat of the moment, or do you feel like that was...
This interim belt?
The interim belt.
Yeah, it's cool and all. It's nice and shiny. But, I look at myself as a true champion, and I lost the belt, and I'm on a journey to get it back. So, this belt here, it makes me feel good. I took some pictures with it and everything, but, there's no real satisfaction. There's no real, touchdown moment. Yeah, we made it, guys. No. Me and my coaches, my teammates, we're right back to the drawing board. We're still on a mission. And this thing it's kind of made up. It's kind of fake.
I know you said that you felt disappointed that you kind of missed some openings and things like that, but I am curious, how much of patience and drawing it out was part of the game plan? Because I think some people were were thinking maybe you kind of came in wanting to get some time in the cage underneath you, kind of wanting to work some time out.
Right.
So, was there a plan to kind of be patient, not attack right from the beginning?
One thing I noticed about this fight was I had this level of relaxation in there where I was just living in the moment and just enjoying it. It was like, okay, I'm winning every round. Yeah, I'm getting booed for the first time, but I'm still winning. And Ovince is a heavy hitter. He has this huge knockout power, and I'm like, dude, I can't lose to a guy like Ovince, trying to do too much. So a part of me, this may sound funny, I don't know, a part of me was just like, you got to fight DC, John. You got to fight DC. Like, do what you got to do to win this fight. The goal is to get back to DC. Whether you look like crap right now or not, the goal is to get back to DC. So I'm not making any excuses, but that was definitely in my psychology. It's just like, all right, do what you got to do to win each round. Finish if you can, but don't miss out on the opportunity to fight DC. Getting in there and haymaking with a guy who has this freakish knockout power, and a guy who gets these knockouts from these really weird and unpredictable angles. So yeah.
And you mentioned the boos. It definitely wasn't obviously your most exciting fight, but how much of that did you put on OSP? Because it did seem like there came a point where it just seemed like he was happy to be in there and surviving with you.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. At one moment, when I was hearing the boos, I realized, I'm chasing this guy. Like, I was chasing him, and he was just circling and backing up. So I was like, all right, maybe these boos aren't for me, But, I like to give exciting fights, and I felt as if I put my best foot forward, and, obviously I could do more, and I'm hoping that the majority of the boos were for Ovince. I think the fans are just used to me doing, giving them real cool, exciting stuff, and they saw a more hesitant version of me versus a guy who was backing up a lot.
And you've been